This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Ned Soltz is an author, editor, educator, and consultant on all things related to digital video. He's also a contributing editor for Digital Video Magazine, a moderator on Two-Pop and Creative Cow forums, and a regular correspondent here on The Buzz. Whew. And today, we're going to talk with Ned about color grading. Hello, Ned. Welcome back.
Hi, Larry. It's great to be back. It's just been ages, it seems.
You know, you never call, you never write. You know, I'm really depressed.
I know. No, you and the whole family says that.
Well, I want you consumed with guilt.
Oh, I am.
Ned, when it comes to color grading, my first thought always turns to Blackmagic's DaVinci Resolve. Is there anything else in color grading?
Oh, Larry, there is just absolutely so much that this time I actually am speaking from notes, because I must have about 15 to 20 products that I need to rattle off just in my few moments that I have with you. There are so many possibilities, but I really want to take it really back to the beginning here, because a lot of times in this brand new world that we have of people dealing with log footage, of raw footage, of moving from linear footage but still shooting linear footage, people really don't fully understand where we are and what the process is. So I think, first of all, before we do this and jump into some products, I want to talk about a process.
Okay.
If we're dealing with log footage, our first task is to delog that footage.
Oh, wait, hold it. Ned, stop a second. When we're talking log footage, first give me a quick definition of what log is, and is there different variations of log, or is it all log C?
Well, there are very different variations. Panasonic has its version now of a V-Log. There's a log C that Canon has. Sony has S-Log, S-Log2, S-Log3. Everybody has their variant of it. The JVC 300 camera has now just adopted a JVC log. And it's essentially the way in which the top of the curve is compressed to be able to get more values into that same range.
Meaning, hold up, slow down. Meaning top of the curve means highlights?
It's going to mean highlights, right? It's going to mean those highlights are going to be compressed in that log. It means that there is going to be a removal of saturation and tonalities. All the values are there in that curve, but that curve is going to have to be turned into a linear curve in order to be able to be visualized, to be displayed, to be seen as anything other than just a washed out, almost black and white image.
Okay.
Different cameras and different manufacturers employ different logs and different techniques. And so when we're dealing with this log footage, we have to look at software that's going to decode specific to the log of the camera. That's going to be accomplished by LUTs, by lookup tables, that are going to understand the characteristics of that camera and of its curve, and return that log curve then to what we're calling the Rec 709, the video curve, which is going to then have all of those values. So once we've done that process, then the next process is really color correction. And many of us have been doing this for years, like those of us that started back with Adobe Premiere ages ago and then moved to Final Cut. I jumped on the bandwagon at Final Cut 1.2.5. We were dealing with a three-way color corrector and a two-way color corrector, and we're correcting. And we're going to express that now in terms of lift, gamma, and gain. That is the blacks, the midtones, and the highlights. We're going to color correct. And only after we've done the color correction then are we going to put our artistic grade on. And that's where many of these plugins and options and everything else that's available to us are going to come in, not just for the correction, not just for the D-log, but then finally when we're ready to put some kind of artistic grade on the process.
Okay, now, wait, slow down. So we're going to convert our log footage, or we're going to convert the raw footage. So you're talking conversion before color correction, or are we going to be doing the same? We're going to do it all at one pass.
Well, we're going to do that first. The first thing we're going to do if we have raw footage is we're going to what is known as debayer that footage, which is actually, to put it in other terms, it's like developing the negative. If we try to talk about debayering and debayering routines, we'll never get to a single piece of software tonight. If we're dealing with raw or log footage, we're then going to be delogging that footage before we begin any color correction at all. That's step number one. Then step number two is going to be our color correction for everything from white balance to shadows to midtones to our highlights, and get the image the way we want that to look. And then finally, we're going to put some kind of artistic grade on that footage.
Okay.
Now,
so we've got a workflow going on, and you're saying that we can do it in multiple different pieces of software. So keep going.
Correct. So I'll keep going. So, of course, the first place you're going to do that, particularly if you're dealing already with linear footage, Rec 709 footage, you're not dealing with log footage, you're not dealing with raw footage, because that adds to the post time and everything else. You're going to be dealing with your nonlinear editor. So let's take Final Cut Pro, for example. The color boards in Final Cut Pro 10 are remarkably powerful tools that a lot of people don't fully appreciate.
How so?
Remarkably powerful.
How so?
How so? Because of your ability to move those values around, because of your ability to visualize that on the scopes, to be able to take that output then to a reference monitor where you're able to really see how that video is going to be displayed in the medium in which you're going to be delivering it, depending on which auxiliary hardware you have. Those color boards are very powerful. Now we'll move over to Adobe. There's a speed grade. I personally have not gotten into speed grade as much as I can, but I know that a certain Larry Jordan sells a tutorial on how really to get into speed. And I think that's got to be mentioned as well. Again, powerful. But now in the latest 2015 of Adobe CC, you have the Lumetri layer that can be applied. And in that Lumetri layer, you can then click and apply whatever lookup table you want, because it's these lookup tables that also help delog your footage or put looks upon your footage and everything else.
Ned, I agree with you. I agree with you. And that Lumetri panel that's new with the 2015 Premiere has an amazing amount of functionality in it that I was not expecting when I first saw it. It does far more than a simple three-way color corrector.
Oh, yes. It's amazing. I begin to wonder whether Adobe is really beginning to migrate more of the speed grade functions actually into Premiere Pro, and that's probably part of the Adobe roadmap. Because, again, remember, color correction is something any idiot like me can do. Color grading is now all of a sudden something that's really a highly specialized area, and people devote their whole lives to being colorists. And all of a sudden now all of the tools here, it's like you got your private pilot's license, and now, wow, I'm going to take my hand at flying an Airbus A380, just because I can fly that Piper Cub. I think that's probably part of the analogy of it.
Well, you're going to fly that A380 without me on board. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. So
well, they say it's so automated, you just have to button and it flies itself.
So we've talked about speed grade, which is connected with Premiere. We've talked about Final Cut 10 for color grading, and Final Cut 10 really revolutionized the whole idea of three color wheels back with Final Cut 2, Final 1.2. Right. But there's more. What else do we have?
Well, then we've got Avid Symphony, of course. We shouldn't really leave Avid out of the equation because it's still there as almost the de facto studio application. And although Symphony is getting a little long in tooth, for those who are Avid users, Baselight has a $500 plugin. You've got the multi-$100,000 Baselight systems that are dedicated color systems. But for about $500, Avid users can add Baselight, which brings you much of the power and functionality of the Baselight system. Of course, it's on a clip-by-clip basis. It's a little more difficult to work with, but it's there, and it's certainly there for Avid users. But I want to move into other things that are available, both in terms of plugins or LUTs that you can buy. So right now there is something relatively new. A guy is trading as Rocket Rooster. sells collections of LUTs that range anywhere from $5 to $50. Color Finale for $99 from Denver Riddle, Color Grading Central, is yet another plugin for Final Cut 10, but also Denver Riddle has a number of different LUTs that are available. And most of these are going to be more in the looks types of areas. But if you really want to get into looks, there is Magic Bullet. And the Magic Bullet Suite 12.1 just released has looks, Colorista 3, which is one of the most powerful of all color correction, Magic Bullet Film, which allows you to put emulsions and varying film looks, Magic Bullet Cosmo, and Magic Bullet Mojo. And these plugins work in all of your hosts, including the OpenFX, which is for DaVinci Resolve, as well as for Fanuc. But probably we don't probably have a lot of new compositing users that might be tuning in tonight. The downside of Magic Bullet, and I love it, it's extraordinarily powerful. The downside is for those of us that take our video out through a Blackmagic or through a Kona card to see what it's going to visualize like on a reference monitor, you can't do that in looks. Looks isn't going out. You're going to be judging basically on the computer screen. And then only after you apply that in your NLE are you going to be able to go back out. So it could be a little cumbersome. But let me move on right now, Larry. Another package that's one of my favorites for $299 is called Film Convert. Film Convert is a standalone, as well as plugins for everything available. And it not only will do your color grading, lift, gain, and gamma, it also has film scans of varying film emulsions. So you can have varying Kodak emulsions, Fuji emulsions. You can control grain. In other words, this is going to give you a very film type of look. I'm going to move on. Film Convert, as I say, is one of my favorites. Something similar to that is something called Koji Color, Koji. You can buy the Koji LUTs for $99, but the full Koji plugin set is $899. I think they do an even better job of film emulsions than does Film Convert. Now, in the $49 range, for those who are Final Cut Pro and Adobe users, the FX Factory family of plugins that run under FX Factory, they're virtually unlimited. I mean, I love the Hawaii Color, which gives you on-screen controls in Final Cut 10, and Auto Grade and Auto Match. DaVinci Resolve 12 now allows you to match scenes, but that's in a $49 plugin as well for Final Cut from Hawaii Color under FX Factory. Natris has levels and curves and contrast. Lawn Road, Color Precision. Fix has something called Color Looks. And now, finally, if we're in the Sony ecosystem, Sony has a free product called Catalyst Browse, which reads the formats from virtually any Sony camera and allows you to change from log to Rec 709, but it affects that globally. They have a paid package called Catalyst Prepare and Catalyst Edit. It's $400. It reads all the metadata and everything else. Very useful if you're in the Sony ecosystem. But again, you're able to do a basic grade with that and then export that basic grade through Edit into your NLE. And of course, if you're in Red pioneered all of this with the free Red software to be able to do what Color is called and Red called a one light, where in Red you are taking that raw material and beginning to develop that and putting all of your looks and everything else onto it. So we're just overburdened and overwhelmed with software right now, just like we're overburdened and overwhelmed with hardware, and it can be a very confusing and a very daunting process. And DaVinci blew it wide open by taking one of the de facto standards for the whole industry and making it free. And even the $1,000 version, when you look at a multi-$100,000 DaVinci system, which you can now get for $1,000 in software and run it on some garden variety iMac or HP or Dell workstation, or even less of a quality intensive machine. I mean, the possibilities out there for us are amazing. So my advice here is basically pick the system you want, learn it, become adept at it, and figure out how you're going to make something look the way you want it to look. That's really what this grade is about. It's not right, it's not wrong. It's how do you want your final production to look?
Well, Ned, there is no shortage of color grading software out there. I'm really impressed. Your report has been phenomenal. For people that need more information, can they go on the web somewhere to get a sense of what you're thinking?
Well, you can, of course, always look for my writings and the writings of my colleague Oliver Peters, who writes extensively about this in Digital Video Magazine and Television Technology, and that would be at www.creativeplanetnetwork.com. That's one of the best places.
And Ned Soltz is the man that's writing it. And Ned, thanks for joining us today. The report was phenomenal. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. To stay connected and receive updates from The Buzz, sign up for our free weekly newsletter now. Or you can learn more about us on our website. And thanks for watching The Digital Production Buzz.